What's up, everyone? This is David Greenspan, and you are listening to Season 2 of the Mindshare Podcast, a proud member of the Industry Syndicate Media Network. Additional podcasts are available at mindshare101.com and on all the major podcast platforms. This week's episode is sponsored by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems. This is episode 93. Growing up in Denver, he was a member of law enforcement, including the Marine Corps, being the deputy sheriff, and at one time, he was also the SWAT Tactical Commander. After a successful career, he transitioned and started with Remax back in 2003 as an independent contractor, presenting a safety training program he created specifically for real estate professionals called SAFER, Safety Awareness for Every Realtor. In 2004, he joined Remax full-time as a senior franchise development consultant for the Remax Mountain States region. He was then named VP for the region only 1 year later. In 2010, he helped the Florida region win Region of the Year 2 years in a row, which led to him shifting his focus as he was named Senior Vice President of Marketing in 2015. Continuing his upward trajectory, he was promoted to Chief Operating Officer in 2016, and then in 2018, he was ultimately promoted to CEO. It is my pleasure to be joined by Remax Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Adam Contos. Adam, welcome to the Mindshare Podcast.
Thanks, David. Great to be here.
It is great to have you here, man. I appreciate the time. I know you were an incredibly busy man, so it's certainly an honor to have you on the show, and we're looking forward to learning from you today. I got to ask you, real important here. My little man Joshua is always asking me what it takes to join the SWAT team, and also wants to know if it's fun. Have you got any advice from my 9-year-old?
Keep trying, man. I mean, that's what it's about: is be the best, set your standards high, and live them every day. So, physical fitness, health, wellness, have your mind in the right place, and be the very best at everything you can be. And everybody wants to join the department and be on the SWAT team, but you got to pay your dues. You have to prove that you can do everything else very, very well. And then you apply, and you might not get it the first time, but you keep trying. So it's about doing everything the very best you can.
Well, isn't that the same for everything in life, though, right? Is just doing everything to the best of your ability, and then keep trying and don't give up. And I mean, just literally keep pushing until either you achieve what you're looking to achieve, or you decide maybe that you found something else. But I mean, there's always learning moments along the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You look at like elite athletes and how they refine their craft, and you don't see them putting in that grind, the monotony, the boredom of repetition over and over and over again. Like you look at, Michael Jordan, he would just go and shoot free throws, thousands and thousands of free throws. Tiger Woods would take and go to the putting green thousands and thousands of times. It's just, the list goes on and on and on of elite performers. And I mean, that's what it was when you're on the SWAT team. I can't tell you how many times you do, we call it the dance. Okay. When you're working, when you're doing an entry, how smooth and choreographed it has to be to go save lives, because time equals lives. And, it's that way with everything. How many laps does a NASCAR driver have to put in before they get to drive the big track, right? So same thing in real estate, same thing in business. You don't show up day one and go, all right, I got this. I'm good. I am the best. You gotta go after it every day, man.
Well, what I know is, I was just going to ask you on that too, right? Because as I was reading through the bio, and I was going through sort of the steps and your progression of just, again, from the law enforcement world into the real estate world. And, one thing that struck me was again, that quick upward trajectory through the leadership ranks. But I'm curious to know, and I guess this kind of plays right into what we were just saying here, is what is that character trait? What is that habit that keeps you consistently moving forward?
I think it's framework. It is knowing that habits and repetition are what get you there, even though you think you've plateaued. So, I've been living under a system mindset, a habit mindset, pretty much my whole adult life. And we allow people to change things so much as they're growing up and in life that they never get truly masterful at one thing. And that's one of the things that I noticed in life is if you go for repetition. And habits are not formed by time. Habits are formed by the number of times. So it's not, how many minutes do you put in? It's what do you put in the minutes?
Oh, I like that.
So you have to go after that repetition over and over and over again. And that is where you see the incremental improvement. And it's about incremental improvement there. So it's when you look at business, I don't go to work. I live what I do, and I live how to be the best at it 24/7. I mean, and a lot of people are like, you're a workaholic. No, I'm not. I am a growaholic is what I am. and what I love is I see something and I go, how can that be better? How can I be better with that? And how can I build that into my business? And you could put me on the back of a garbage truck tomorrow. That'd be the best damn garbage man you've ever seen. And that's just the way you have to think is, how do I make this the best ever? And you live that every day instead of living mediocrity and going, all right, I'm just going to get this done, check the box, put in the hours, punch the clock, and I'm done for the day. I don't live that way.
Right. I think a lot of people do. Like, look, this is something that we know is for anybody in business, anybody in sales especially, it'd be beautiful to wake up every single day and just literally have a deal land on your lap. It's not reality. We've got to go out there and we've got to work. We've got to keep it consistent. We've got to keep the chin up, and we've got to learn from the things that have happened to us and go, how can I make myself better because of it? Right. But, we talk about the character trait or the habit and forming that habit. And when you say systems oriented, I'll tell you, for me, it's very much the same thing. Because I know for myself, as I still have a pen in my hand, everything for me was very paper and pen for a long time. I had a system. It was growing, but there were ways to improve on that. And I've since done that over the past number of years, but it's very, very systematized. And we've had people that have said to us, I can't operate like that. Like, that's not what I got into real estate necessarily for. But to what you just said about, even if you're doing, you're driving a garbage truck or delivering pizzas or whatever you do in life, there's got to be some sort of system in place. So I'm curious, based on that, when we talk about a plan, how important is that? But even more so, what does that look like in terms of, systematizing and working to that?
I love this question, David. And you said something I want to touch on real quick. You said people say, I can't work like that.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as the word can't.
Oh, sorry. I just did that I apologize. I just literally did that prior on the previous presentation I was on. And I say this to my kids every day. I'm sorry to cut you off. Every single day since the day they were born, you can do it.
Yeah, and realistically, and I know you didn't mean it that way, because I know you, man. You're not a can't person.
No.
You're speaking for people who decide that they're rationalizing why they're not going to do something.
That's it.
So, I mean, really, can't is a rationalized excuse. I can't do that. No, you choose not to.
Right.
You choose not to.
Yep.
And granted, I can't run a 4-minute mile, for crying out loud. That's great. There are physical limitations in life. There are some people who can never dunk a basketball in their life. Great. But the reality is those are physical limitations that are defined by something that, sure, you don't have any control over. But generally, when it comes to executing a task, we usually stop ourselves before we get to the point that we're capable of mastering something or capable of doing something with excellence. So really, when you look at how do you build that into your systems, because back to your question here, how do you build this systems mindset and this habit mindset and a framework around executing to a high level? Ultimately, what you're trying to do is figuring out, instead of can and can't, you're figuring out will and won't. What is that will column? What will I be doing and what won't I be doing? And your won't column should be huge. It should be massive. That will column, what will I be doing, should be very, very concise. And the reality is that will column is what goes into your daily activities. So you look at, how do I set up that system? Well, first of all, where do you want to make your money? If you want to talk about business systems, if it's in mortgage or if it's in real estate or if it's in selling cars or if it's in helping people with their medical issues or who knows what it is. But where do you want to make your money? Where will you focus making your money? And how do things fit into that? And then where won't you focus making your money? Because, the old saying, and I truly believe this, the dog that chases two rabbits catches none. Okay. So
I like it.
which rabbit will you chase and catch that one?
I like it. I like it. You know what? It's a great way of looking at that too. Is exactly that. I like and I take a lot of notes on these things. What will you do, and what won't you do? And I think sometimes too, when we're looking at that, it's the same way where people say, when we have this contact list conversation, right? Yeah, put people on your contact list, and it's, I start by going, if you've got this big list and you're thinking to yourself, who do I want on there? Who don't I want on there? I mean, first, I think everything's an opportunity. Beyond that, though, what about that, maybe that process of elimination? Who won't you talk to anymore, or won't you deal with? And again, it's one spin on that, but it's that idea of process of elimination and going, well, I know that that's not going to happen. So why don't we focus on the things that could potentially happen for me?
You touched on another good point here. I love talking to you, man, because you throw out these different ideas in the conversation, and my job is to mine them out of this conversation,
Yep.
as well as yours is. This is like a back and forth between two people who are looking for gold here. So it's amazing when you talk about opportunities, and that's a word that it's interesting. I was on the phone with a consultant the other day. We're a public company. We talked to a lot of consultants, a lot of people who are trying to kind of unpack what is the philosophy behind the company, things like that. And they always ask this question, what challenges you? Mm-hmm. And you hear that asked of business leaders a lot.
What keeps you up at night, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the single most important question, when it comes to growing your business, what is your biggest challenge?
Yeah.
And I look at it and I go, you mean what are my opportunities?
Exactly.
And
forget about
she
the
goes,
problems.
Well, no, I'm talking about what keeps you up at night. I said, I sleep really well because I'm excited about the next day.
Yes.
And she goes, well, you don't worry about these things? I said, why am I worried? I have opportunities out there that I can pursue every day. And if you want to wake up thinking about the sky is falling and these are all the problems that I could be going after, that's great. You go do that, because I'm going to be looking for the opportunities where I can go out and build my business, help some people, make some more money, grow myself personally, my relationships, stuff like that. So, I mean, it's fantastic when you take and you look at that, because all these challenges, that's great. Put a bunch of them in your won't pile and find the opportunities, put them in your will pile, and focus on that.
You know what? I love the way you spun that, man. And I know the conversation is always amazing. It's that this is that gray cloud thing of going, I don't want to be under a gray cloud. And for, I try to share the message all the time. And I mean, everybody tuned in knows that I say this, but, fit in 30 minutes of reading a day, right? 30 minutes of reading a day will change the mind. It'll make you more positive and make you feel better. It'll change your outlook on things. You'll get different ideas and opinions from different people. You'll be able to dissect those and say, how does that help me? But at 30 minutes a day, you're talking 24 books on average a year. And I mean, to everybody, I ask you now, how many books are you reading? If it's one, great. If it's none, that's not so great. But I believe you could do a lot more, which then changes the mindset around now you're looking for the opportunities. You're not looking at the challenges, because we know that a negative mind is going to lead to negative results. Whereas if we can think positive and think about, the old adage, the glass is half full or glass half empty. It's now looking at, wait a second, what can I learn? And if we look at now, what we just went through over these past 6 months, I believe everybody should be taking some time to see and review and go, what did I learn? What can I do better? And I said this earlier today on another presentation. I've asked this question before, but when you're on the road and your car's running out of gas, do you wait until it goes on empty to go and fill it up, or do you fill it up prior? The same way, if you've got a leak in your roof but the sun is shining, do you fix it, or do you wait till it starts raining again? And I know most people tuned in are going, well, of course I fill up gas and of course I fix the leak. Okay, fine. So let's talk about our business now. What did we learn over these past number of months? What can we do to prepare ourselves in the event of whatever is coming at us over these next 3 months? And I strongly believe there's a lot of opportunity to take advantage of. And there it is right there. It's, how are you looking at this? oh my God, the sky is falling. We don't know what's happening with school. We don't know what's happening with mortgage deferrals. We don't know what's happening with unemployment rates. We don't know what's happening. Or, you know what? Here's what I can do to take advantage of every single thing that's coming at me. Because most people will unfortunately look at the bad side of things. Whereas the people that are looking for the opportunities, that have that positive mindset, that have the plan and the system and are seeing the successes, even when you see the losses sometimes, those are the people that are going to rise above all of this stuff. But,
totally agree.
To that though, then, so we know that a plan is incredibly important to success. What do we say to people when they feel like the plan isn't working?
You know what? Every plan has headwinds. Every plan has challenges. But ultimately, did you put together the plan because it was just easy, a walk in the park? I mean, you can't, you never win a battle until you go to battle. And that's the reality. It's you got to go fight it out. You're going to have failures. If you don't have failures, you're not learning. And people, the interesting part about society right now is, when people fail, the majority of them stop at that point. So you really don't necessarily fail until you quit trying. So your plan needs to accommodate for the fact that you're going to have to try a few times. There's nothing that works perfectly. It's a reality. You're living in a Pollyanna world if you think that you're going to put together a plan and it's just going to go smooth and perfect and wow, this is great. I mean, realistically, I can't even make a cup of coffee without screwing it up somehow. So you look at it and you go, I'm going to go make a better cup of coffee. That's how, simply put, that's how you got to look at this, because your plan is going to run into problems. And the old saying, it's not the plan that is going to win for you. It's the art of planning, because you learn about the plan. And I'll tell you, I used to run a SWAT team, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
You show up at a situation and you don't have a plan when you show up because you don't know what the situation is. It could be a barricaded gunman. It could be a hostage situation. It could be a warrant service. I mean, I chased a serial killer through the woods one night. I mean, who knows what it's going to be? But the reality is, take what you got and look at it as, all right, let's figure out plan A, plan B, plan C. It's going to change. So if you're against those adaptations, you still have the ultimate goal. You still have the same goal. But how you get there is going to adjust. And how you get there is going to magnify your results in some way, shape, or form. Obviously chasing a serial killer through the woods, you're like, I want to catch him alive. We don't want to have a confrontation where somebody gets hurt. You want to catch them alive so that you can allow the system to run its process and deal with this appropriately. But there are a lot of variables there.
Have you spoken with Chris Voss before?
The FBI hostage negotiator?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I've read his book.
Oh man, he's awesome. I had him on the show a few months back. Great guy. We had met at a conference that we were both speaking at, but you guys could probably share some pretty crazy war stories.
I bet we got some fun ones to bounce off.
Oh man, I'd love to be a fly on the wall for those. But so to all that, because I know one of the things it was either a podcast topic that you did, which if you guys aren't following Adam, everybody's got to tune in. But there was something there where you said, and it was interesting because my father used to say this to me about learning to lose. And you had talked about learn to lose. And it just hit me because I thought about, my father's words and how he brought that back to years ago being a kid and going for hockey tryouts, and back then it wasn't all the social medias and the online stuff. It was literally you'd find the stuff in the classifieds in the newspaper and, I'd circle the stuff and go, okay, Dad, I want to go here and then I want to go there. And, he had said to me one of his proudest moments, and he reminds me about this every once in a while. He says, but you got cut from a team. He says, and here he is as my dad, like kind of broken and feeling bad for his son. And he says, you came out of there, you grabbed the newspaper that was in the car, you looked at the time on the car and said, Dad, we still have time to make it to the next rink. And he said to me, he says, that's when I realized you learned to lose. You understood, no problem. Let's go. And so to that, when I saw that on yours, and then I thought to myself, and it sort of brings me to this question, like, I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, what do we do if we feel that the plan isn't working? But another thing is, how do we keep our chin up in the face of all of it? Right? That positivity, that staying consistent about, where we really want to go, what we want to achieve, no matter what happens to us. How do you do that?
I love this question. The reality is you need to understand it's going to suck. There's a lot of it that's going to suck. But you also have to look at it and, you hear the saying, embrace the suck. Because we will punish ourselves throughout life in order to be better. That is a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to feel pain. There are two kinds of, two different decisions you'll make in life. Which pain do you want? Do you want this pain or that pain in order to accomplish anything? But in order to accomplish something, you have to face pain. And, Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, they all talk about the two types of pain, because if there's something you need to do, you either have the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of discipline, of doing things a little bit here and there, which the pain of discipline weighs ounces, or the pain of regret. The pain of regret weighs tons. So and people go, well, you tell me to say no more than to say yes. That's correct. You need to be disciplined to do that. But what you choose, you're still choosing pain. When you say yes to something, you're choosing pain. And let's say, for instance, you want to run a marathon. Mm-hmm. Okay. I've never run a marathon.
Me neither.
But the reality, I know that to train to run a marathon takes a lot. Takes a long time, because you're running 26 miles. I don't know what that is in kilometers.
Like 35,
okay,
40, something like that.
So you're running a long distance. You just don't go out and do it on one day. Okay. You build up over time, and building up over time is hard. That's the pain of discipline, over and over and over again. But it's not going to kill you. If you go out and try and run 26 miles in one day, it's going to kill you. So that's the pain of regret of not preparing. Same thing with your health, for instance. You walk into a restaurant, you got a salad and you have a burger. The salad doesn't taste as good as the burger. All you salad people, I don't care what you say. The salad does not taste as good as a burger. But the reality is the salad's way better for you than a burger. You take the discipline of eating the salad and saying, okay, I'll take the pain of, I don't get to eat that juicy big piece of meat on those nice warm toasted buns with butter on it and some cheese and whatever else I throw on there. No. You take the discipline of that over the burger. The problem is, though, that if you chose the burger, you don't get instant results other than gratification. Mm-hmm. So this is where this gets complicated, because if you got instant results from everything you did, choices would be easy. Choices would be easy. You'd go, salad, I get to live longer, I'll eat the salad. Burger, I die as soon as I walk out the door here from a heart attack. I don't want that to happen. That would make that decision simple, but it doesn't happen that way. Your decisions compound teeny tiny bits at a time over a long extended period of time. This is the way that mastery comes around, is compounded decisions of choosing little bitty things, staying disciplined, staying in your framework, running that marathon one step at a time, as opposed to 26 miles all at once. Working on your body one salad at a time versus one burger at a time. Doing 100 push-ups one at a time versus sitting down and trying to do 100 right now. Same thing in your business. Adding another person to call each day instead of deleting a person to call each day. Because the regret of that is if you say, I'm done. I didn't hit my numbers, but I hit my time. I should have called 2 more, but I didn't. At the end of the year, when you don't make your numbers and you get fired, you'll be like, that added up, didn't it? That's the pain of regret versus the pain of discipline and taking another 10 minutes.
I love that, man. I love the way you put all that together. I mean, it's We've heard that. We've heard it many times, right? Nothing in life comes easy. It just doesn't. If it was easy, then it's not going to produce the results you necessarily want it to, right? Like those things don't come easy. And that's why we're always taught growing up from our parents and from a lot of the, the folks that are out there sharing a lot of these great messages, is that you really do need to put in the work. You really need to be disciplined. You need to put in that time. I mean, I've said to folks for a long time now, the act of doing creates the result of having. But if you're not going to do, how can you expect to have? It doesn't work that way.
You're right.
Literally, this is the tough part of staying disciplined and ensuring that now, you know what, man, it's been a long day. It's like, 11 o'clock at night. I just want to kick my feet up. Like I am done. But wait, did you plan for tomorrow yet? Are you ready to go yet? Because if you're not, are you done? And I mean, you could say you're done. Most people do say they're done. But do you want to be most people?
That's where you make your money, man. I don't care if your money is made in calorie counting, if your money's made in, the love that you spread in your relationships, or the money's made in the business. That's where you make your money, is when everybody else decides to quit. And
yeah,
the beauty of that is you don't have to hate it. We talk about the grind. We talk about getting it, the discipline, going that extra mile. You can love that part. People think you're weird, but it's satisfying to go, I'm going to go do, the extra mile. I'm going to go do the extra calls. I'm going to go, drink the extra water, have the salad today, whatever it is. All you have to do is convince yourself that you're right, that you love that. You like the extra challenge. You like stretching it out a little bit. You like going a little bit more, giving 110%. Average person gives somewhere between 25 and 40%. You got a long ways to beat the pack if you're one of those high performers.
And I mean, do you want to be average? Right? I mean, if you're satisfied with that and that's who you are, I guess my message to you is, hey, enjoy, but step aside, because people are coming barreling through. There are people that do want to, a lot more out of whatever it is they're doing. And I mean, you think about it into, to that, right? The analogy of going to the gym, somebody who's going to the gym gets it, that pain of the muscles and working it out and getting up in the morning and eating the rabbit food, the salad all the time, right? They feel that pain, but then they look through the consistency and they see the results. The same way we talk about people that are, oh, my time is up, I'm not going to make any more phone calls, or I'm not going to do more. Those are probably the people that don't achieve the goals at the end of the year, but then there's that idea around, when you're told no, and or you're doing your calls and you don't get the deal, we've all seen that meme of the two people, and it's like they're digging in a hole, and one of them is like really close to the gold on the other side, but they just stop digging, whereas the other guy's way further back, but just digging away, and this one who's like really close to sides, he's going to walk away and just give up. There's something to be said about the word no. There's something to be said about, the bad that happens, or how we perceive it maybe as bad out there, that happens in a day, a week, a month, whatever. That's really just a learning moment. And I guess that's the question. Like, when these things happen, I don't know about you. For one, I do believe in karma. I do believe that as we get out there and we do work hard and we do the right things, it's not that it's going to be sunshine and lollipops every day. It's not. There are going to be things that happen that we're just not happy with. But is that defeat, or is that an actual learning moment? Are you on your way to success by going through that?
That's your choice, man.
That's a cool answer. Okay.
That's your choice.
That's cool. I like that.
It's you look at it. Kids are a great example of this. How do they respond to things? They either respond to things with gratitude, or they respond to things with a fight. I mean, it's the two emotions we come from. We come from fear. Fear response is fight, flight, or freeze. And if somebody tells you no, 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 and you start, so no's an exit. No is fear, because they're rationalizing that they don't want to spend time listening to you. They don't want part of this. They're afraid of the road you're going to take them down because it's an unknown. Okay. So in the sales process, no's are because there's no clarity. No is because they have not opened their heart to understanding. And, we always hear no is just a not now, an uneducated not now. But the reality is, how do you take it on the other end? Because if you meet fear with fear, like if you tell your kids to do something like no, I mean, and then you jump on them, and then all you got is fear crashing into fear. And what ends up happening? Nothing good. Nothing good happens when fear is met with fear, when fight is met with fight. So fight, flight, or freeze are fear responses. Rationalization, anytime somebody says but before they say something else, listen for that word. If you hear somebody say but, they're about to give you an excuse or a redirection. Okay? So the reality is, always thank them, appreciate it, recognize with love. Love is unconditional giving. So there's a difference between love and lust. Love is unconditional giving. Recognize the fear, appreciate the fear. Thank you for your passion on this. I love where you're coming from. Let's figure out how we can do this together. And just
I love that. And so it's funny, years ago when I first started Kits, our marketing business, I was at a conference and a guy came up to the table and he was asking me some questions, and all of a sudden I went, but, blah, 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 blah. And he went, pardon me? I went, huh? He goes, you just said, but. I said, okay. So he looked at me and he said to me, that just told me that everything you said before that didn't matter. And I went, what? And Adam, it stewed in my mind all day long. And since that day, and I will not say that I've never used the word but since that day. However, that said, I am much more cognizant of the use of that word, when it's being used and how it's being used and how it's being perceived by somebody on the other end who's listening to me. And I'll tie that same one in right there when somebody says, well, hey, listen, can I be honest with you? Let me be honest with you, right? It's like, hold on. And I'll do that with people now. I'll be like, wait a second, straight up. What were you just saying to me before? They look at you like, what? So, well, now you're going to be honest with me? What have you been telling me this whole time? And there's a lot of people that'll look at that and go, well, okay, I didn't really mean it like that. Well, no, how did you mean it then if that's what you said? Now, some people may not have meant it. There is something there that says, though, again, for those people that are listening to you and learning from you and paying attention to you, that you've just struck a chord in their mind to put a little bit of doubt, which makes it much easier to say the word no. And one thing that when I was talking to Chris, one of the things that, and he did this on stage at that event, and we did it again together on the podcast. And I think he had done it with Jim Rohn, and he had said he saw him at a book signing at a university, or he saw him somewhere, and he went up to him and he said, instead of saying to him, hey, will you come and speak at our event? Where the easy answer, because we all are programmed to just go, no, I'm too busy. He said, he spun it and he goes, look for the no. Search for the no, because that's what people are programmed to want to say. And so you're sitting there, you're like, okay, so what do you say? And he said, instead I spun it. And I went up to him and I said, would it be crazy to think that you would want to come and speak to this university graduation class at such and such university? And Jim's answer was like, no, it wouldn't be crazy to think that at all. Wonderful. Let's book the date. And it was the spin on, again, how to use, the context of it and how to play off the fact that human nature is to say no. Anyways, I thought that was an interesting one. It all comes back to, again, how are you communicating with people? What are you learning from people? And what are you taking when somebody says no to you? How are you accepting that, and how are you moving on? So, let me ask you this: what's the easiest way? And we've kind of talked about this a whole bunch throughout this so far, but see, I caught it. What's the way? Good, right? What is the easiest way, though, to keep a positive mind in the face of defeat like that? And we may have just covered that off too. You've shared a lot of great stuff there. It's just we're so programmed to be like, man, again.
The easiest way, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. I'm gonna tell you, this is how I view is the easiest way to stay on track, move in the right direction. Clarity of reality. So clarity of reality. Because when you look at so much of what we get every day, it's an obscurity of reality. It's somebody's opinion, it's rhetoric, it's a polarizing request where people want you to be a yes or a no, a this side or that side, or a 1 or a 2, or whatever it might be. Everybody wants a polarity of reality, and that's how they want to define the easy answer for them. You need to have clarity of reality. What are you trying to accomplish here? And that's what I mean. Where are we trying to go? And is this just another learning moment? Or is this one of those overpowering emotional responses that people end up with? So what I just said is a little bit foo-foo, whatever. But if you think about it, and I've seen it described a couple of ways. What is it? Like in Jocko's book, he says, take your head off your rifle and look around, because you're in battle and you're so hyper-focused. We get tunnel vision as to what's going on. You're so hyper-focused. Lift your head up, look around, take a deep breath, and understand what's the magnitude of what's going on here. And what are we trying to do? And lead your way there. So when you're getting pushed back, when you're getting beat up, beat down, beat on, whatever it might be, lift your head up, have a little clarity of reality, and say, what am I trying to do? And how do I, as a good person, get there? And just realign. Go back to that plan and reassess what you're doing, because you know what the first thing that happened when, all hell breaks loose in our worlds, we throw the plan out the window for some reason. And we end up emotionally charged and all tied up in the situation. It happens with customers. There's in the real estate, mortgage, whatever industry, there's always something that goes sideways in a deal, right? And somebody runs into your office or calls you up or sends you an email or whatever, and it's like their hair's on fire. And you're like, what are we trying to accomplish here? What do we need to do to get there? So I'll take a deep breath, remember that we like each other, and smile, because this is going to be a great day, and let's go there together. So clarity and reality.
I like that. I not only coaching realtors, but coaching my son's little league team, as well as rep hockey. And last time we were on the field, and we're the home team, so we open up on the field, defense. And first guy comes up and puts one up the middle. Next guy comes up, puts another one up the middle. And I thought, wait a second, we got to reset. And it was trying to bring the clarity in. I guess I use this analogy because, so much in sports we do that, where we are so emotionally charged with just wanting to win. And this is synonymous with business for sure, that we go out there, and the moment things aren't going the way we want them to, the plan, just like you said, goes right out the window. So one thing I did with them last night is I literally, like two batters in, I called time to the ump and I ran out to the middle of the field, and I brought everybody in, catcher to the outfielders, everybody in the middle, and I did a little knock joke for them. And they all kind of looked at me. We all smiled at each other. And then it was, okay, get back out there. And it was literally trying to, and this is explaining to 9-year-olds, right? How do we get these guys to just refocus, go back to the plan we put in place, get rid of these emotions, these jitters of the start of the game, of things maybe not going the way they want to. Reset that mind, and let's get back out there and do what we want to do. And again, synonymous, baseball, sports, business, doesn't matter. It's that same thing to what you just said. It is to refocus. So I'm curious too, because reading through again a lot of the content that you put out, which is phenomenal stuff. You had mentioned something, and this was so in line. I've got a presentation that I've done many times called The Path of Least Resistance. And I did this on as a keynote at Inman on their marketing. I don't know, it was New York, San Francisco a few years back anyways, but we talked about the power of reciprocity. And you had mentioned something in one of your recent stuff about, helping others. And a lot of the stuff you talk about is doing that. And I think you might have even mentioned reciprocity. How important is this? And I say this because we get a lot of people who, like when I do my events, and we've got all our group coaching stuff, and we've got one coming up on starting on Tuesday. One thing we do is we ask people a lot is what do you like to do to get business? What do you hate doing to get business? what drives most of your business, right? Taking the like and the hate out of it, just like what drives your business, whether you do or you don't like it. And one of the things that we learned was a lot of folks hate giving out the free value. They hate going out there and taking their time out of the day to do something that they don't necessarily see as income producing. Yet we know the more we can get out there and help people, the more we can, I mean, again, power reciprocity. You know, I don't want people to take this out of context. We've heard the line so many times before, but give and you shall receive. It's that same thing of, you know, don't give to expect to receive, just give. And if you give, and you just continue to practice a life of giving, I don't know. I think through living it, we can, as proof, say you will receive. You don't know from where, you don't know from who, you don't know when. Things will happen. Good things will come. So how important is it to get up every day and think, how am I going to go and help more people?
This is just an amazing topic because this is the foundation for success. Success is never built upon the quest to take. Success is only built upon the quest to give unconditionally. You look at the two feelings that we operate from, the two emotions, love and fear. Fear is taking, love is giving. Okay. So fear is taking because you're afraid of loss. So, you know, we hear about FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yep.
All right. We also hear about FOPO, fear of other people's opinions, which is like they're stealing your soul, right?
Admittedly, I think that was the first time I heard that one.
Okay. FOPO, fear of other people's opinions.
Okay, cool.
You want to know why people don't make videos to put out for their marketing?
They're scared.
They're scared.
What are people going to think of me?
What are they going to say? Fear of other people's opinions.
Yeah.
That's it. That is the reason why. And they're like, I don't have anything to say. No, you have something to say. Just go be you. Go give something. But, you know, you look at the book Influence by Dr. Robert Cialdini.
Yep.
There are several factors of influence, and reciprocity is identified as one of those. There's like 5 or 6 of them in there. Go read the book if you haven't read it.
I have not, and I'm actually writing it down as you say that right now.
Okay, so he has 2 books. One is called Influence, and one is called Persuasion, which happens before the influence part.
I like that.
So,
so actually read that one first, then Persuasion, and then go to Influence.
I read them in the order that he put them out. Cool. So read Influence first.
Okay.
And he's a professor at Arizona State University in social psychology. I called him one day. I loved his book so much. We had him speak on stage for us that I called him and said, "Hey, Robert, I just want to call and introduce myself because I use a lot of what you talk about in how I design our marketing. You know, I used to run our marketing department, and I guess you could say I still do. I run the company, but I really
doing a couple things over there.
Yeah, I believe in these factors, and the factor of reciprocity is huge for me.
Yeah,
you need to give. Givers get. Okay, be
genuine about it. Don't do it just to get. Do it to
exactly.
Give, right?
Do it. It's got to be unconditional.
Yeah.
And by the way, you know, everybody's like, you know, relationships are 50-50, which is a bunch of BS. Okay. Relationships are not 50-50. Relationships are 100-0. If you're in a relationship with your spouse and you believe it's 50-50, you need to either adjust your perspective or go find a different relationship where you're willing to give unconditionally, give 100 into that. It's the same thing with a relationship to your customers. Because you're not in it for a transaction with your customers. You're in it for a relationship. If you're in it for a transaction, then you're serving a product instead of a person. So it's not what you sell, it's who you sell to and why you're doing it for them. You're doing it to give to them. Now, your original question is, you know, people are afraid to give things away, afraid to give away their value. If you give away your very best value, I'm not saying go and create hard goods and just hand them out freely. What I'm saying is your very best, most valuable knowledge. Because knowledge leads to solutions. And if you give away your solutions to things, people will come pay for the rest. That's the way it is. They're like, thank you for helping me. Because that's what it is. You're helping them. You're helping provide clarity, direction, knowledge and understanding to things, but they still want an expert to help them with it. They still want you there for them. But ultimately, the reason I put out so much content, like this morning, I put out something, and the topic was now what?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody asks themselves, now what in their business? And I get this a lot. I'm in a lot of masterminds. I run some masterminds. The functionally, people look at where they're at and they go, now what? Let's talk about that. And so I discussed that today. You can write a book. You can go and put out 20 or 30 things that are high value that you could go put in a book and sell to people and say, just go buy my book. No, I just want to give it to them. Why? Because I think they appreciate it. Now, here's the caveat to this whole thing, because there's always a caveat to these things. If you get value, you need to make sure you're giving value. So everybody who's listening to this today and in the future, you call yourself a sponge. I'm a sponge. I love to learn. You know what a sponge does after it gets? It gives. It doesn't keep.
Soaks it all up and gives back. Yep.
You got it. So when you look at people and they're like, you're like, if you want to be a good leader, you want to run a good business, you got to be a sponge. Okay, what does a sponge do? It just goes out and gathers. You know what it does? Is really good at gathering and at giving back in a quality manner. So that's what you got to think about. But it is, David, you are spot on with that. If you want to do a great job running a business, go give really good, valuable stuff to as many people as you possibly can and ask for nothing in return. Ask for nothing in return.
I was just going to say to you, what do you think? What do we need to be thinking about when it comes to our brand? And I kind of say that almost going, I think we just kind of almost covered that about giving. Now, talking to you guys running one of the biggest brands in the world, most recognizable real estate brand in the world. It just is what it is. When we think branding, so many people think this is my colors, this is my logos, this is, my marketing material. I think though, this, now where we're at in the world we're in with the power of social media, the power of online, the power of influence, the power of value, we need to be thinking about, and this comes back to something you said before about just be you, be genuine. Be authentic with who you are. That's more about the brand. And I'll tell you, man, what I love about, everything you're doing is that it's you. You're there. You're accessible. You're sharing. You're giving value. Yet here we are running this massive organization. I guess where's the question in that? I guess I'd ask it, like, what do we need to be thinking about when it comes to our brand?
How do you help people understand really what the heart and soul of your brand is? That's what it boils down. People don't care about a brand as much as they care about the people behind the brand. But as human beings, our mind wants to put that puzzle together and go, this brand means this. So what does your brand mean? If your brand is a logo, it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
If your brand is people, show the customer base what the brand is. We all know, and you and I have had this discussion before, what's the best burger out there? And people are like, McDonald's. I'm like, that's the best burger brand out there.
Yeah.
And we all know, you could describe the taste of a McDonald's hamburger right now or cheeseburger, whatever you're
smell the French fries, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can describe it. What's that milkshake taste like? Things like that.
Yeah.
Because your brain is attached an emotion, an experience to that brand, to the logo, and to the name, and even to their whatever their song is that they've got out that goes with it. So really, that's what you're doing is you're attaching it's just a signal in your brain to say, this means what type of experience. That's what your brand is. And if your brand is giving and helping and kindness and caring and equality and things like that, guess what? When people affiliate your brand with whatever the type of transaction is that they want to conduct, they're going to go, I'm comfortable with that, because that brand presence creates trust. Presence creates trust. Okay. Just those two words, presence It leads to trust. And people who decided, you look at like COVID, for instance, how many businesses disappeared when COVID started?
Wow. It's unfortunate too, right? Like,
right. I mean, can you tell me the last restaurant you went to eat at before you went into quarantine, to lockdown? Probably not. Why? Because they didn't stay there, top of mind share. Okay.
love it. Love it.
So, COVID was not about building market share. COVID was about building mind share.
Yep.
100%. Did they build mind share? Did they build presence? Presence creates trust. Here's one for you. Top of mind is first in line.
Like it.
Top of mind is first in line for that transaction. So if you tie all those things together, brand gets recognized, builds that trust because there's transparency, there's giving. All these things we've talked about just like stack up like dominoes.
And it comes back to the idea around consistency, which we almost opened up off the top of this afternoon, around that whole idea of just being consistent, that repeat. And it's as you bring up the COVID thing, I wanted to say to you, or ask you, when we look at a realtor's day to day, when we look at a realtor's day to day, and then we take into, and I mean, we said this as well before around the losing and the things that we learned. I guess when we look back, and I explained this to the, running out of gas and the leak in the roof and all that stuff. As we look back over these past 6 months, 7 months, what do you think was the biggest thing we learned as an industry? And at the same time, where do you think we're going? Like, what is that, I guess, that biggest piece of advice? And I got to imagine we've covered a lot of that already over this past hour. What is that biggest piece of advice based on what we've learned to where we're going? How can we continue to remain relevant as an industry?
We know a couple things. One, we know that the real estate transaction is more complex than it ever has been. And fear adds to that complexity. The fear of what if. Did things change because of COVID? Absolutely. Everything changed because of COVID. Everything. We have different documents in our contracts. You've got to do COVID disclosures, whatever it might be in certain places. But I mean, the reality is everything changed. The dynamics of the market changed, things like that. So that adds to fear. What reduces fear? Trust reduces fear. Clarity reduces fear. The people who disappeared from their customer base just allowed that fear to build. They allowed that distrust, that obscurity, that lack of understanding to build. On the flip side of that, the people in the real estate industry, the agents that were present, not looking for business, but giving. And what did they give? They gave love and caring. The agents who from day one started picking up the phone to everybody that they know, people they haven't talked to in decades, pick up the phone and go, "Hey, David, it's Adam. I just wanted to reach out to you. I was going through my phone and I saw your name and we haven't talked in a while. What a better time to reach out to somebody and say, hey, how you doing? I just want to make sure you're okay. You are? Good. Thank you so much. I send my love and well wishes. Let me know if I can do anything for you." That's it. I didn't say, are you looking to buy or sell your house in the future? Okay. They know what you do. They just want to know that you care. The whole, and I've used this a whole bunch during COVID. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yep, that's right.
I don't remember whose quote that is. It's not mine, but I probably used it.
It resonates though. It works. Because I remember being on some of those initial Zooms that Zoom blew up. Some of those though, and it was pick up the phone and call your database. And I remember specifically on one of the first ones I was on, and this one guy goes, whoa, what are you talking about? Pick up the phone and call your database. I don't want to call people right now. I don't see like a sales guy. And I said, whoa, I didn't tell you to try to sell anything.
Right.
I tell you, just build relationships, call people and check in. I mean, I was telling, my audience, pick up the phone and call the small business owner who owns the grocery store down the street where you go buy milk and eggs that you're not going in to see right now. That person who's struggling to keep the lights on and the doors open, call them and let them know you'll be back. And I'm telling you now, and spin that in the real estate world, I was saying to them, I'm telling you now, you do that and there's the give, right? At some point down the road when things do get back to normal and you do go back in there, they're going to remember you. They're going to remember that you warmed their heart, you put a smile on their face, and then they're going to try to figure out how they can help you. It's the same. Sorry, go ahead.
I want to add to this because this is incredibly powerful. In Carnegie says in how to win friends and influence people. Two things we can't give ourselves: personal attention and appreciation. Okay, those are the two things we can't give ourselves, and that you're given both of those. Now, here, let me add to this, David, because this is really important. Somebody in the industry, you know the person that has the sandwich store on the corner, or the dry cleaners, or the tire shop, or whatever it might be, small business owners, because our society is built in small business. We are 8,400 small businesses around the world, 132,000 agents, which are all small business owners as well. So, I mean, here's the reality. What if you saw one of those small businesses that you just touch base with, and then you just go and you put something up on social media and say, I just talked to this person. They're one of the nicest people I've ever known. And if you're ever around David's sandwich shop, stop by and tell him hi. He'll put a smile on your face. I mean, that's it. That's all you got to do. And if you want to sell your house, you can call me. You didn't do that.
No.
Okay? Because that's not giving. That's asking to take.
That's wait a backhanded give.
Exactly. So, I mean, this is important. And by the way, people, it is not too late to do this.
Definitely not
too late to do this.
I'll tell you
the direction of business for at least the next decade.
The road ahead right now, when we look at, again, school and unemployment and mortgage deferrals and all that stuff, I believe there's massive opportunity to pick up the phone, not post it on social media, not flip somebody an email, not do a video thing. Call Adam. How are you? Yeah, I'm good, man. No, seriously, man. Like, how are you guys? Like, what's happening? And start to dig and start to really ask the questions to learn what's going on. And when you do have that trust factor with people, at some point, when you ask it the right way, somebody who trusts you enough might just go, you know what? We're having a tough time right now. What's going on? How can I help you? And as you dig for that, and this is that old sales thing of digging for the need, dig for the need, dig for the need. There's also that opportunity as people are sharing with you, you're going to start to collect some information. This is that recon. You're going to start to understand who are people that may need some extra assistance somewhere. How can you be there? Or maybe you already are their trusted advisor. How can you run with that now and help them get over the hump of whatever they're dealing with right now? And to everybody listening, and you know I say this all the time, this could be whether it has to do with your business or not. The fact that people trust in you, that is the gold, which we talked about earlier on, the gold. Adam, being in complete respect of time here, I just real quick, what last words or tips can you share with everybody who's tuned in, just so that they can help themselves get out there and build more mind share, build a stronger business, and just take advantage of any of the opportunities that are ahead?
Yeah, I think it's important that they reflect on a few of the things that we've said. I mean, one, be kind and give. Give value. Go out there and care about people. I've said it on stage several times. The way you win your business is with kindness. It's not with who's the best closer, who's got the best scripts, things like that. But you also can't hide. Leaders lead. Hiders hide. They're not synonymous. You have to go out and lead. And leading means putting yourself out there, ignoring the fear of other people's opinions, and just being a great human. People want to align with great humans. You'll see some that are miserable or whatever, and we don't need to save everybody, but we need to be a good example, and they'll figure it out themselves at some point. So just go out. You hit it on the head, though, man. Give. Go give. And you will see the rewards returned. Who knows when? It may take a while. But here's the bottom line, though. You're going to get better at giving. You're going to be better at learning, creating content, things like that. It's just, and it's fun. Live a great life. Be happy. And take care of each other. So that's what
Amazing.
I got.
No, I love it, man. I love it. I love it. Where can people find you? How can they connect? I know Insta and you're all over there. What are some areas they can connect with you?
Yeah. So Remax Adam Contos or Adam Contos CEO. Those two places. Be sure to check out my podcast, Start With a Win. We're over 100 episodes now. We just had Gary Vaynerchuk on it. It was a great episode. A lot of good ones coming up here. So startwithawin.com, and you can find me through all the social channels from there.
Love it, man. I got one more question before we get off air and open up our VIP room. One more question for you. What made you smile today?
I have a lot of things that made me smile today. I mean, one is seeing my amazing wife, Kelly. Love her to death. So I'm going with that one.
Check. Hopefully she's listening, and some brownie points there. Adam, thank you. I feel like we could go on and on and on about so much of this, get so much deeper, and I would love to revisit and do this again at some point. That being said, I thank you very, very much for joining me on the Mindshare podcast today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and honor to be here, and thanks for what you're doing, David.
You're either listening to this on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or Spotify. Or maybe you downloaded our free Industry Syndicate podcast app, or maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. And while you're on my site, make sure to download your free copy of the 7 Ways to Communicate ebook to help you build more mindshare so you can get more market share. And I want to invite you all to join us for the upcoming Mindshare Mastermind starting on September 8th in just a few days. All the details can be found at themsc101.com. Topics include goal setting, systems and time management, marketing plans and budgeting, referral strategy, social media, video, online lead gen, and prospecting. This course is fully loaded, and by downloading the 7 Ways to Communicate, you will be sent a special promo code for some big savings. So make sure you do that. All the info can be found online at www.themsc101.com. Plus, by joining us, you will also have access to our private Mindshare Masters community. We meet twice a month live to share ideas, tips, tricks, and do some mind sharing. And all of our Mindshare Masters get access to our private VIP Q&A with our special guests each week. And you get daily marketing and sales tips delivered right to you. Plus the opportunity to motivate, learn, and network with a whole bunch of people just like you, going through the same struggles in business as you, looking to achieve like you. Again, the link is www.themsc101.com. Registration is open only for a couple more days. Seats are limited. Hurry up and save yours. Wherever you like to consume your content, please rate, review, and subscribe. And if you haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare101 and on Instagram at DavidGreenspan101. This has been another episode of the Mindshare Podcast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.